Good morning, everyone. This is Rob in the Abyss, and we're moving into 1997. And this morning, I'm pulling out my movies, and once again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed. I keep missing some of my favorites. And what's starting to happen is that I'm going through all of these, and I'm worried about pulling movies that I want to show you that not necessarily are great, but either have the good acting or the good storyline. And if we really get lucky, like a Crimson Tide, you get both. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this one or that one. So I will definitely be doing a segment on the ones I missed again, but like some of my favorites I missed. So we'll deal with that later. I also want to point out that yesterday we talked about The Edge with Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins, and I guess when I was looking up movies from 1996, it came up, and it shouldn't have. It came out in 97. Not that big of a deal. We got to cover it, but I wanted to clear that up. Anyways, starting off our movies for the rest of 97, Nothing to Lose, Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins thinks his wife, Kelly Preston, is cheating on him, and he takes off, and he runs into Martin Lawrence, and I'm not going to ruin the story too much, but then it's the shenanigans they go through the rest of the movie. A good comedy. Once again, not a great movie, but their banter is really good, and it makes for a funny comedy. Next up, another comedy, Dennis Farina, Bette Midler. Their banter also is really strong, and they're pretty funny together. And we've talked about Dennis Farina quite a bit. He just does him, and it reflects in everything that he does. So if you're a fan, you're going to like this movie. I talked a little bit about this yesterday, that if actors are good, I can overlook who they are as people. And Bette Midler is one of those ones where I just wish in real life she wouldn't talk, but as an actress, she's got those chops, and she's really funny. And I find a lot of movies that she's in I really enjoy, from Get Shorty that we talked about yesterday, or Down and Out in Beverly Hills, or Ruthless People. It goes on. She does a really good job, and her and Dennis Farina are funny in this, and it's worth a look. One of the movies I forgot from '95 that was one of my favorites, starring Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan, French Kiss. I will go more in depth with it when I do the one I missed video, but I wanted to point it out because it is really strong and it's a good movie. But I will talk about Kevin Kline and then Meg Ryan for '97 first. In and Out with Kevin Kline, Matt Dillon, Tom Selleck, Wilford Brimley. Another fun comedy. He's engaged to Joan Cusack. Matt Dillon, who is a former student of his, who's now a celebrity, outs him on national TV. He doesn't think he's gay, and then kind of realizes he does, and it makes a fun comedy, and how he deals with it, and deals with it with all the people around him. The Meg Ryan movie is Addicted to Love with Matthew Broderick. And I would say this is probably the last in line of the Meg Ryan formula. It changed after this, but you got Kelly Preston as Matthew Broderick's girlfriend, who leaves for Meg Ryan's boyfriend, and then Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan are together spying on them, and then the stuff that they try to do to them to get them to break up so they can get back together, and that's the name, Addicted to Love, and then it kind of just plays itself out in typical Meg Ryan fashion. She's a little darker and a little edgier in this than a lot of her other movies, but still, her cute self, and has a really good rapport with Matthew Broderick. Probably the best comedy of '97, Liar Liar, Jim Carrey. Most of us have seen it. The scene where he beats the shit out of himself in the bathroom is enough for us to be able to watch the film. But he's really good. An original concept, right? His son wishes that for a day he can't lie, and he's stuck, trying to get around and cut corners of lying, but also doing his job as an attorney. And it's a good, original, funny comedy. And like I said, most of us have probably seen it, but it is one that I had to mention. Men in Black, kind of a sci-fi comedy. Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, their banter is fantastic. This is where Will Smith's another one of those ones when he falls into that formula. He does a really good job. Movies like this, Hitch, Hancock, things like that. No one's ever going to accuse Will Smith of being a good actor, but he's not a bad actor either. And when you put him with someone like Tommy Lee and they get to banter and Will Smith gets to be him, you have a pretty good, fun, original comedy, and it works. And like I said, I'm a big fan of originality, right, and original concepts. And I remember seeing this in the movie theater and really enjoying the idea and the work and stuff. So, once again, this is another one you guys have all seen probably, but it needs to be pointed out. Another one I saw in the theaters, Face Off. Nick Cage in his legendary role as Castor Troy. John Travolta is the police officer following him, detective, whatever. And when they finally catch Nick Cage and have him in prison, they come up with the idea of switching Travolta in his face so Travolta can go into the crime ring and expose it all as Castor Troy. And so a lot of the movie is Travolta being Cage and Cage being Travolta, and they do a really good job of picking up those characteristics and doing it. And Travolta does have more to play with because Cage is a little bit more flamboyant and acty, but they both do a good job of making you feel like you're watching the other one, and that's a lot of the fun of the movie. Because when you stop to think about it, it wouldn't work in real life, but a lot of movies don't work in real life. So another original concept that's fun to watch. Kurt Russell, Kathleen Quinlan, J.T. Walsh, Breakdown, a great action thriller. Their car breaks down. J.T. Walsh comes to help, ends up kidnapping his wife, and then it's Kurt Russell trying to hunt down and save her. It's a fun movie. Not necessarily one I go to, but if it's on, I'll watch it. It happened to me on TV a couple weeks ago, and I stopped and watched it. And it's Kurt Russell being Kurt Russell. How do you not like Kurt Russell? He's one of those actors where everybody likes him, So needed to be pointed out. Plus, J.T. Walsh is an actor we've been talking about in a few other films, the last few segments. So I want to point out those guys and show that they are in movies consistently and do a really good job as supporting actors. Not everybody's going to be a lead actor. Not everybody's going to be the star. But you can make a damn good career being a supporting actor and being one of those faces. I can't tell you how many times I'll say to somebody in class or tell the group, hey, look up this person. They look up, oh, yeah, I know who that is, right? That's the ultimate career. Because then you can go live your life, but also live your career, which is kind of cool. Next up, the Tarantino film of 97, Jackie Brown. This one is the follow-up to Pulp Fiction, which is a hard follow-up, of course, as we would all agree. You got Sam Jackson, De Niro, Bridget Fonda, Pam Grier, Michael Keaton. It's a good cast. There's definitely some good moments. Not one of my favorite Tarantinos, but still a good movie. And it's funny because there's certain Tarantinos that I'll go to and pull out the Blu-ray or the DVD and watch them. This is not one of them, but if it's on TV, it will definitely hook me and I'll sit and watch it. And I think we all kind of do the same thing. Once again, is it Pulp Fiction? No, it's not even close. But still, it's a good film and it has some good plots and twists to it in Tarantino style. And the banter with Sam Jackson and all the work he does is typical. And so it really is still an enjoyable film. But when you put it in the category of a Tarantino film, it's just not quite as good as some of those others. Another one with a good original idea, a great cast: Stallone, Harvey Keitel, De Niro, Ray Liotta, Peter Berg, Copland. They call it Copland because the cops live in this small town. The New York cops live in a small town in Jersey. The local sheriff is Stallone. De Niro is the investigator investigating the cops, and it gives you kind of a cool crime thriller and another fun film when it comes to a really good group of acting and actors. So Kathy Moriarty plays Harvey Keitel's wife. Been around a long time and worked with a lot of these actors, and she does another really good job in this as well. Another kind of action thriller with good acting: Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman in Air Force One. He is now the president, and he could be Han Solo as the president. Indiana Jones is the president. Jack Ryan is the president. Typical Harrison Ford consistency, typical Gary Oldman consistency, and it's all in one location on Air Force One. And it's a cool action thriller, another fun film. And if you like these actors, it's a no-brainer. All right. I'm going to break out Good Will Hunting. A lot of people probably have this as their number one in '97. For me personally, I think it's a tad overrated. I know, I hear it all the time. It's good. You know, Minnie Driver is really good in this. Matt Damon is really good in this. Stellan Skarsgård is really good in this. Robin Williams is really good in this, and it's a really strong conversational based movie. But it's not your favorite 50s. It's mine, and it's not even in the top 5. I know, crazy, but it is what it is, and you know. But I needed to point out because I get crap for the true romances and you know, the natural born killers in the movies that, you know, Scarface. You know, just not mine. You know, but as you see, I own it, and it's worth watching if you haven't seen it. All right, next up, another Minnie Driver film, John Cusack, Grosse Pointe Blank, a fun, good original story. Dan Aykroyd and John Cusack play hitmen. He's coming back for his class reunion in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. His name is Martin Blank, and there's the whole name tied into it. And he goes back to see Minnie Driver, who is also his girlfriend from high school. He hasn't seen in 10 years. He just abruptly left before prom. And dealing with the love story, but then also dealing with all the people trying to kill him and the people he's supposed to kill. And it makes for a good love story, comedy, thriller, and it's one that I watch a lot. Jeremy Piven as the old friend, you know, the whole 10 years, 10 years, you know, that whole bit is hilarious. It's funny, and it's a movie that I enjoy. And you know what's funny? She is really good at, you know, we just talked about Good Will Hunting, and you get her British accent, and then here you get her American accent, and she's really good. And for a long time, I didn't know which way she really was, and then eventually you realize she is British. But she does a good job of just doing her with or without the accent, and that's what acting's about. And it's, you know, she's really strong in 2 really good movies in '97. Next in line, Absolute Power. I mean, this is about the cast: Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Scott Glenn, Ed Harris. I mean, Laura Linney. You can't go wrong with, you know, a good mystery thriller that has amazing actors and acting in it. And that alone should make you want to sit down and watch a film like this and see how it goes, but then also watch the interaction of some unbelievable talent. All right. Next up, I'm going to show you guys another one that we all know, Titanic. And yes, I'm showing it after Good Will Hunting. I do not like it better than Good Will Hunting. I like the story better than Good Will Hunting. I have always been fascinated with the story of Titanic, and I actually read about the story and was fascinated about it way before they ever found the ship. And then once they found the ship, James Cameron did a great job of making Titanic come alive with the details. He had the blueprints from White Star Lines and created the Titanic from the carpeting, the wallpaper, the wall mounts, the china, the silverware, all that detail to make it real, just to sink it. And then he's got to tie the love story into it. And I really think that Kate Winslet is a terrific actress. She is one of the best, and she takes a lot of risks, but there's an honesty to it, and she's strong in her eyes, and she's very likable, and she does an amazing job in this. Billy Zane as her fiance. I mean, he's just such a jerk, but so strong. Kathy Bates as the unsinkable Molly Brown, and then of course Leo. Although I think he starts to become more of an actor after this. I think this is the movie that kind of propels him from being a boy to a man. But you know, there's some ridiculousness to this movie, but overall, if you watch it as a historical piece, it is a really great film, and it was rewarded as such. All right. Next up, Michael Douglas, Sean Penn, The Game. Hard to see the cover. It's a Criterion. It's really, really dark. it's another one of those mystery thrillers, and I don't want to give too much of it away. But Sean Penn signs up his brother Michael Douglas to play this game, but the game is real, and here we go. Um, I'm a big Michael Douglas fan. I talk a lot about his movies, and this is another one that is really good. And Criterion does an amazing job with making it look so clean and restored as they do with most of their films. And this was one that I had to get when it came out. All right, my final three for '97: Elizabeth Shue, Val Kilmer, The Saint. I love the story. I love the acting. I love the uniqueness of it. I love the fact that he goes by all these saint names, and it kind of gives you that background. And it's a good action thriller film, and it's one I watch a ton. Wait a second, Rob. You like The Saint better than Good Will Hunting? Yes, I do. I will watch it more than Good Will Hunting. Yes, I do like. I will repeat it 100 times and still get crap for this. I will watch Good Will Hunting. I will watch The Saint more. It's a better movie in my opinion. And that's what's cool about this is we all have our different opinions on everything. And I've talked about this. Food, cars, drinks, everything. Music. Film is no different. So I do like this movie a lot. I watch it a ton. I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Shue, especially in this era of time. And this is, to me, a really, really strong movie. Runner up, and this was kind of tough, but I think it comes down to not only the storyline but the acting. Suicide Kings, Christopher Walken, Dennis Leary, these college kids or just out of college kids or whatever kidnap a mob boss who's Chris Walken and hold him for ransom because they think one of their friend's sister was kidnapped, and another good thriller. Walken's amazing in it. This is not number one because I think some of the kids are not that great. I think Jay Moore does a good job, and some of the others, but it really comes down to the scenes with Dennis Leary and of course the way Walken is and the original storyline with a nice plot twist at the end. But it's an enjoyable movie for me, and a lot of times movies for me are driven by who's in them. So Suicide Kings is my runner-up. My number one for '97 is Donnie Brasco. True story about an FBI agent who basically infiltrates his way into the mob and becomes pretty high up with them and can't basically determine whether he is Donnie Brasco, which is the character, or if he's the FBI agent. I love the story. Al Pacino as one of the mob guys, Michael Madsen, Anne Heche. It's a really good cast. It's a really good story. And if this is on TV, I stop and watch it every time. It doesn't matter what part. I really, really like this movie. I love the story, and I love that it's a true story. I think Johnny Depp is really, really good. I think a lot of people think of Johnny Depp and they think of the characters he plays, whether it be Edward Scissorhands or Gilbert Grape or Jack Sparrow or other things like that. Even when he did Willy Wonka, they don't realize that, there are movies that he did that like this one where he's more just Johnny Depp straight on, and he has some solid acting chops, and he shows it in this film. And like I said, I really enjoy it. It's my kind of movie, and that's why it's number one for '97. All right, on the record side, it's all heavy metal, right? It's power, it's thrash, rock and roll metal. It's all of it. Gamma Ray, Somewhere Out in Space. This was actually the first one I got by them, and I love it. I love the title track, Somewhere Out in Space. I love Beyond the Black Hole. I love Valley of the Kings. There's a lot of great songs on here, and I love Kai Hansen as a musician. I love him singing on this, and it's probably my favorite Gamma Ray album. And it was my first and one of the last I ever bought at Tower Records before they closed down. I got it up by Triangle Square in Costa Mesa back in the day. So Gamma Rays, Somewhere Out in Space. Next up is From the Underground and Below by Overkill. I'm a huge Overkill guy. It Lives, Save Me, I'm All Right, The Rip and Tear. This is another really good, strong thrash album. And it's funny because the thrash pioneers are Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, um, Testament, to name a few. But really, to me, the most consistent over the years has been Overkill. They consistently put out really strong records if you like this genre of music. And they also probably, if I was thinking about a band who always has really strong openers on their records, it would be Overkill. Every one of their openers is really strong. And, there are some bands that have great openers. I'm a big Maiden fan and they have great openers. I'm a huge Rush fan and they have great openers. But Overkill's right up there with them when it comes to openers. And It Lives to start this off is terrific. As for my number ones in 97, it's a tie. It is between a band called Psycho Motel, which is led by Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden. I talked about him yesterday on the Michael Kiske record. This is one of his solo projects. And then the singer of Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson solo album, Accident of Birth, which also has Adrian Smith on guitar. So I got two Adrian Smiths, but also on vocals, Bruce Dickinson. I'll start with Adrian and Psycho Motel. This is the second of two that they put out. And I love them both. I love anything that pretty much Adrian Smith does. I love his writing. I love his guitar playing. I like his style of music. The Last Chain, Believe is a song that I'll listen to over and over again. And this is the Japanese version, so it comes with the bonus track Hypocrisy. There's a song on here called With You Again, which he is singing about his father, I think, the way it sounds in the lyrics. And, the way I interpret it is his father passed away and, that someday he'll be with him again. And it reminds me a little bit of my relationship with my dad when I listen to it. It makes a nice, strong ballad with some great guitar playing. Dave Murray of Iron Maiden does the guest guitar solo on that song. So a pretty special record, and there's not a bad song on it. The Bruce Dickinson one, Accident of Birth, opens up with Freak, which is an awesome song. Star Children is great. Accident of Birth, the title track. Man of Sorrows. Once again, Arc of Space. It ends with... it has The Magician, which is really good. The Ghost of Cain. I mean, once again, this is another album. And I try to do the list without looking, but there's so many that I own. As you can tell, that sometimes I can't remember exactly what songs are on which album until, like, if I had it in, I would know the order. This is, Bruce's vocals with a different style of music. And you got my favorite guitar player, one of my favorite guitar players on it. And it just makes for a really cool hard rock record. And it ties with, like I said, Psycho Motel's Welcome to the World. Those are my, turn it around, top records for 97. And then, like I said, Donnie Brasco on the film side. I know I'm going to get comments because you guys have different opinions on this. And once again, to me, that's what makes it fun. I like to hear your opinion. Like to hear your thoughts, right? And just like you're thinking I'm nuts, I'm going to think you're nuts. But once again, that's what makes the world go round, that we are our own people, and we have our own thoughts, and we can make these decisions. So, please enjoy it. And like I said, I'm looking forward to hearing the comments, the criticisms, all the different stuff. That's what makes it fun. Once again, we've been stuck at about 58, 59 on the subscribes, the subscriptions, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. We get into 1998 tomorrow.